How's it going, everyone? I hope you are well. Welcome back to another educational beauty video. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do a very minimal concealer and foundation routine. I finish it off so that you can see the whole look, but because I want you to just see what it looks like with the rest of the face done, but that takes very little time. I want to really show you how you can use this technique to create that very skin-like finish so you can see your natural skin coming through, but it looks healthy. So there's zero cakiness with this look. So stay tuned because I think you're going to love it. If you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. And don't forget, I'm over on Instagram too, so you can come and say hi there. Now I think let's head straight into this video. So I've got nothing on my skin. I'm going to start with my skincare, and I've actually switched to a different skincare routine. It is working really great for me and I'm actually loving it. And I'm surprised because I didn't think I would kind of go for it. But it is the Rhode skincare. Now this stuff genuinely is, I'm not going to say transformative because for me, I feel like it is just skincare simplified. So I just feel like I'm not putting a whole load of nasty stuff on my skin, and it works well and I'm loving it currently. This is mainly my daytime routine. So at nighttime I have a different routine, but we're not talking about that today. So I'm going to get started with my skincare. And first thing I'm going to start with is my Rhode Glazing Milk. This is a ceramide facial essence. So I love the fact that it's very light and it is super calming for the skin as well. That's another thing that I really like. I do feel like these products are kind of calming my skin a little bit. So what I do is I get a little bit of this. You can kind of go a bit extra with this as well if you want to, but it really does keep my skin hydrated. And because I'm not going to say I have dry skin because I don't, but I do have dehydrated skin, and that's majority of the time. So I feel like it's really difficult for me to use products which are just too greasy and oily, and this isn't greasy or oily. Now I'm going to be applying my serum. Now this is the Rhode Peptide Glazing Fluid, and this is like a treatment for the skin. So this has got niacinamide in here, and it also helps to like plump and just give you more of a supple finish to the skin, and it is great for dryness. Like I have been in the sun a lot recently. The dryness is kind of there, but not too much. So yeah, I apply this. Sometimes I mix this in with my Rhode moisturizer, but I've got the time today, so I'm just going to apply this separately. And I'm going to let that sink into the skin. Next up, we're going to use my Rhode Barrier Restore Cream. This is a rich face concentrate, although it doesn't actually feel overly rich. And it does have niacinamide in here as well. I just apply a small amount. You don't need too much. Again, this is good for dry skin or like dehydrated skin, but it's great if you are kind of like breaking out a lot as well. So that seems to be my main skin thing. So I feel like these products really fit in well for my skin type. Like I have dehydrated skin, but I do also break out sometimes. So if you know, you are like me, then I can tell you that honestly this stuff is really good. It's not just a hype, it genuinely is so good. Now that we've got that on, you can see my skin is glowing, although we do want to kind of perfect it. Now, because we've got all of this on, it's really kind of made my skin look better, but what we want to do now is actually use concealer and foundation to just, in a very minimal way, to kind of give ourselves that, kind of boost this healthy skin look, but kind of get rid of the dark circles without it looking too like mask-like. So I'm going to show you now how we are going to use our concealer and foundation, and it does depend on the type of concealer and foundation you use as well. Before I do that, I just want to very quickly add some eye cream. I just realized I didn't add any eye cream. So this is my Drunk Elephant C Tango multivitamin eye cream. Now I know you have a lot of kind of like minimal makeup routines that you can see online, but I really want to show you something where I still feel like I can see my skin. I don't want to do a kind of a natural look. I want to do it super natural look. So that's what I really want to show you, how you can utilize your concealer in the correct way to kind of target those areas where you feel like, well, that's where I need concealer, but also if I apply it there, then you know the rest is going to look very different to the rest of my skin. So that's what I really want to show you today. So we're going to be kind of like spot targeting the concealer, so like in very targeted areas, and then we're also going to use a foundation in a very light way. Now I know you've probably seen a lot of makeup artists use kind of concealer brushes or very like thin brushes for applying concealer in specific areas, you know, when you're really targeting that area. I'm going to be honest, you don't need to go out and get a specific concealer brush. I use this one, which is my Sigma E30 brush, and it's perfect. It's like a pencil brush, but because it's not so flat, you're not going to get like that kind of harsh edge of concealer on those areas. So what I'm doing is kind of like very lightly painting over the area, but because it's slightly fluffy, it's going to make sure that the edges of where I've painted it isn't going to be too harsh and it's kind of soft. Now I'm going to be using my Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer in M15, and this shade is really great for me. It's not actually too light. Usually I would go with a little bit of a lighter concealer if I'm doing my normal glam look, but with a look like this, what you really want to do is make sure that concealer is pretty close to your skin color. We don't really want to go with anything too light. So what I'm going to do is put some of this on the back of my hand. Just got some there. Firstly, what I'm going to do is go round on the areas, on the larger surface areas of my face, and figure out where I need some concealer. I know I have a bit of pigmentation issue here, which is only over the last, I'd say, month or so popped up. I don't know why, but I'm going to be applying it there as well. Now, what I'm doing is getting my brush, and I'm kind of like getting some of the product on the brush, like I'm painting it on. And then I'm going to make sure there's not too much. I don't want a whole like blob of it going on. You've got to make sure you've just coated the brush, but you're almost kind of putting it onto the brush this way, but also taking it off the brush that way. So you're left with a small amount. Now what I'm going to do is go around, and anywhere where I feel like there's also darkness, it's not just about applying it on the areas where I feel like it's kind of a spot or a blemish or anything. It's also on the areas where I feel like it's a little bit dark. So I'm going to actually work my way down from the top. I'm pretty okay with my forehead, although I do feel like I have just a bit of darkness here. So you can see I'm slowly painting it on, but actually I'm painting it on a little bit kind of larger in size on this area. There you go. But where I've got an actual blemish, I'm kind of going a little bit smaller with my, you know, my application of how much of it and how much of the area I'm covering. Don't worry about your dark circles yet, because we're going to work on that after. Now I'm going to go down. I quite like whatever kind of like, I don't know, age spots, sunspots I've got on my nose, so I don't want to super like cover that completely, but I am going to go around this area here because it's always just a little bit darker and I've got a little bit of redness around here. I'm using the flat part of the brush, so I'm not using the tip yet, so I'm just kind of like using the flat part and just painting it on. Don't worry if you can see, you know, maybe some paintbrush marks yet. Don't worry about that, because you're using a soft brush at the moment, and because it's soft, the paintbrush marks are not going to be, you know, really intense, and plus we have to actually go over with our foundation yet as well. So I'm also going to apply this here because I do get that kind of darkness around here. Okay, I'm pretty happy with where we've applied it. I am going to put a little bit along this area here, because this is where I said to you I've got a little bit of discoloration. It's just turned up randomly. I don't know why, but it's just like this dark patch, which is kind of common when you have darker skin tone. Right, now anywhere you feel like you've got a blemish that you want to cover up, what you're going to do, let me just find one. Okay, I've got one here. What you're going to do is just apply it and then go around on the edges lightly. I'm like, this is like barely touching my face. If you feel like you've applied a lot in one go, like here, get your finger and just tap. That will usually take off the excess. There you go. I'm kind of happy with that. Now I'm going to get my 180 concealer brush from Fenty, and I like this because it isn't actually too big. I'm going to go back in to that concealer on the back of my hand, apply it onto the brush, but make sure there's not a lot on it. And then now what we're going to do is we're actually going to paint the eyelid, but we're not going to go too close to the lash line. So we're going to just very lightly get some concealer there, and I'm going to show you, do one eye and then show you the other one so you can see the difference. We're going to press, so we're not really painting heavily, we're kind of pressing, and if you need to drag a little bit, then drag. And I'm avoiding going, I feel like my words are not coming out today, I'm avoiding going too close to my lash line. So we're just kind of like trying to get a nice even skin tone there without it looking like we've just covered it with a whole load of concealer. Right, look at the difference. I'm really hoping you can see the difference because I can. But this is nice and even, but it doesn't look like, oh wow, she just put a whole load of light concealer on. And this is so dark there. So we're going to go over to the other eye. Again, if you need to kind of go over with your finger to just lift some of the product up, feel free to do that. Now I'm going to change my brush. Again, you don't have to. It's all about whether it fits in with that whole area that you're working on. But I'm actually going to use the Pat McGrath brush that I received with these concealers, and it actually works really well. And I like this instead of the Fenty one for my under eye because I feel like this is a little bit smaller and kind of not as wide. So it really gets into the kind of groove on the under eye area. So I'm going to apply this to the brush, and I'm going to start painting this onto the lower eyelid, the under eye, but I'm not actually going too close to my lower lash. So you've got to keep away from your lower lash line. Use your finger if you need to. I get a bit of darkness on the inner kind of corner there, so I'm going to focus on also applying it there. Okay, so hopefully you should already see a difference in how this looks compared to there, and we've used the most minimal amount of concealer. It's like crazy. This is such a small amount, but just a tiny bit placed in the right place with the right technique and pressure can make a whole load of difference. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to the other side. And drag down so that it kind of does blend in with the rest of the face. Okay, I'm happy with how that's kind of covered up the areas that it needed to cover up. Okay, I'm going to apply my foundation. Now I'm using my NARS Sheer Glow foundation. This is in Aruba, and this is like the perfect shade for me at the moment while I'm tanned. I've only got a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm going to get my makeup sponge. I'm using my Miracle Air Blend sponge from Real Techniques. Okay, I'm putting a little bit on this sponge, not a lot. I'm making sure a lot of it has come off onto the back of my hand, so I'm buffing it in. Now I'm going to go over my face, but honestly, it's just the tiniest amount. Like I can't even see any, you know, usually you can see the foundation that's just transferred onto your face. I can't see a lot at all. So I'm really buffing it back into the back of my hand so that there's not a lot of it kind of going onto my skin. You should not be able to see foundation marks or like anything really major transferring off of this sponge onto your face. Let's just drag down here. But can you see how that's kind of like just given us a very light finish? It's super, super light. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to get my powder. My powder is my Makeup Forever Ultra HD in Light Banana. I've got my powder puff. What I'm going to do is just make sure there are no creases here. So there's nothing on this brush. Just getting rid of any creases that may be on my eyelids. And then press on, as you normally would do. Now, I wouldn't say go a lot with this powder, but I also would say not to go too little with it because, you know, whatever product you have put on, you do want to make sure that you've set it properly. I'm just dusting it off with my Real Techniques brush. Now I'm just getting rid of any lines that there may be on my under eyes. This is where I'm going to go with my Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime, I think it's called, I don't know what the next word is. Blurring powder, maybe. But it's in yellow, and I'm going to use this for the rest of the face. It's just because I like using my like loose setting powder on my eyelids, because then I know like it's just what I'm just used to, but you don't have to. So I'm going to actually apply this on my under eyes with my Real Techniques brush. This is a really fine pressed powder. I really like this. I just feel like it is great for setting the face without it looking too heavy. And I'm literally just going to go over the rest of the face. I mean, there's still a huge difference from how my face looked before to how I look, like how it looks now. And the whole point is so that you can see just how natural this can look. Let's just finish off the face. I'm literally just going to do super light brows because ultimately I want this whole look to be very natural. This is my my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. These are amazing. This is 3.5. Is it 3.5? Yeah. I don't really want to focus too much on my brows. I always use a slightly lighter brow pencil when I want a natural looking brow. I'm just going to put the smallest amount of mascara on. So I actually like, what I do is I start using a new mascara when I know this one's kind of like running out. But I keep that new one for like when I want full on mascara look, you know, when you want a couple of layers and you want it to work properly. And then I keep the old one to use a little bit longer, but I keep that just for the days like, say, if I want just super, super light layer, you know, because it's not really working to its full potential. So it gives me just a natural looking lash. So that's a little trick for you. Don't throw away your old mascara as soon as you've kind of like opened your new one. Keep it for a little while to just kind of use it for a natural look. 'Cause sometimes, like, you know, you always have to break into a mascara because when you first start using it, it's just there's so much product. So just don't rush to throw your mascara away. I mean, you don't even have to put mascara on with this kind of look. Like, you could get, because there's such little concealer and foundation on, you could get away with not actually putting any mascara on. I'm going to get my lip pencil. I'm using my Kevyn Aucoin Unforgettable Lip Definer in Divine. And I'm just going to like go around my lip line. Just smudge a little bit. There you go. I'm going to put a little bit of gloss on. I'm using my Rare Beauty Nearly Petal. This is my, I don't know what this is called again. It's like a glossy balm thing, but it's nice. Now that we've kind of done majority of the face, we do still want a little bit of kind of like definition, like just dimension to the face so that it doesn't look so flat like it currently does. I'm going to use my Sigma F67 brush and my Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow bronzer. This is kind of, you can use this with a sponge and a brush, but I'm just going to use a brush for this and just take it off in the back of your hand to make sure there's not too much product. So this is where I am just going to like give myself a little bit of bronzed kind of feel to this whole look. And the great thing is, because I'm using a bronzer like this, it does kind of melt into the skin. It's that kind of bronzer. Like if I used a powder block bronzer, I'd feel like it just will look powdery. Whereas this I feel like is kind of in between. I'm happy with that because now I feel like I've got a little bit of dimension in the face, but it doesn't look like overly bronzed or too much makeup on. And there you go. That is basically my kind of like finished, very, very ultra minimal look using concealer and foundation. So I really, really hope that this has given you an idea of how little you actually need in order to get that really healthy skin finish that you can get. So don't think to yourself that, oh, why am I like, I see some of these pictures online and you can really see the skin. Firstly, you never know if it's been edited a little bit, you know, like to remove the cakiness, which you can do, by the way, which I've just recently seen. Secondly, it isn't necessarily like down to just the makeup. Like it may be that the person has just got naturally really great skin, so they didn't have to use much on it anyway. But honestly, for someone like me, I don't have the most amazing skin. I'm happy with my skin, but at the same time, it isn't, you know, there are still things that I struggle with my skin and I still have to have some level of coverage there. But this for me is like a lot better because I feel like if someone came close up to me, it doesn't look cakey. It looks very natural. You can still see some of my flaws, which I'm okay with them coming through. You know, it isn't like a mask effect. You can still see the kind of contours of my face without having to contour it. You can still see like my natural color coming through a little bit too. So yeah, this is basically something I really wanted to share because even though it's something I do sometimes, I realized that maybe other people want to know how to actually use this and how to use concealer and foundation in a very, very minimal way. And I just thought I'd finish it off and show you the whole look. So yeah, I guess wherever you guys in the world are, that came out really weird. Wherever you sound like I was singing that. Wherever you guys are in the world, I really do hope you have the most amazing week, and I'm sending you loads of good vibes and loads of love. And yeah, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.